All right. Welcome. Wednesday night, signing day for football programs all over the United States. And here's something impressive. I took away from signing day. Iowa has the 24th ranked recruiting class in the nation, which isn't bad considering we only signed 18 to scholarships. So, yeah, that's not too bad. And Penn State signed 4, and they're like 144th according to 247. But if you go to ESPN, they're like 150th. So I don't understand. I didn't know we had that many teams to rank.
Well, I don't know, Dean.
Yeah.
But
we must be throwing in all the FCS schools too. But anyway,
it's obviously one of Kirk's 2 best recruiting classes since like 2006 or 7.
Yeah.
So.
We got some talent. We brought some talent in, and I believe Tyler said that we had 8 4-stars on the team. The new ones.
8 4-stars. 8 4-stars, and some of the guys that they have on there is 3 stars. Hell, I'd call them a 4-star, but the stars don't matter, I guess. But
all right, and the other thing too, Penn State still doesn't have a coach yet. 4 players were willing to stick with Penn State, so it sounds to me like they're big Penn State fans and would play for Penn State no matter who coached them.
Yeah, if our coach would have passed away last night, I'm sure some Iowa kids from the state of Iowa would still sign with Iowa because they want to play with Iowa.
Yeah. No, it's just interesting. I just want to see where that goes because they thought they had the BYU guy, and now he's gone. He's decided to stay with BYU. So.
You're talking about Penn State. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyhow, I think that was just a rumor. I don't. People take that as true.
Yeah.
And I pointed out to somebody, well, it's about as true as Philbin was our OC and Christ was our OC and Terry Johns was our OC.
Yeah.
So it was the same old rumors,
So there's a couple of things going on with Penn State then. They're obviously either going to hire Terry Smith full time and not take the interim tag off of him. Mm-hmm. Maybe not. But he did only lose 1 game after he took over, and that was to Iowa. He won every other game, I believe. Okay. So, or they've already talked to their future coach, but he's still playing in a bowl championship series or the playoffs, and they would rather not talk about it publicly until after their season is completely over. And he may have contacted those commits already.
I think your second guess is probably the closer to the truth. Penn State's a great job to have, unlimited money, and Penn State probably is carrying himself about like Kirk Ferentz did on Leicester, not announcing anything or finalizing until Leicester's season was over. If they're going to get what Vandy say the other night, Josh Heupel, the Tennessee coach, was going to be the Penn State coach. Well, maybe they're going to let Heupel's season end before they announce that. Or what if Steve Sarkisian is tired of the Texas job and wants to go there? Or what if it's Signetti's offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator? You know, you don't want to take them coaches away from Indiana when they're playing in the Big Ten championship game. You know, it's so I
Or
think your second theory there is probably pretty good. I don't think Penn State's getting turned down by everybody they're asking to be.
oh, I don't think so either. I don't think so either. It's just everybody thinks that they've really screwed this up because of signing day today. And yes, that whoever takes over has got his work cut out, but I am 100% convinced that they've already got their coach. He's just still playing and coaching right now.
One of the number one candidates was Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator with the Buffalo Bills. And, you know, NFL coaches usually don't leave until their season's over, you know, so that could be it too. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Alrighty. Well, let's do this. I wanted to say ESPN has Iowa's class 30th. And so that's
ESPN does the worst job of following recruiting of the.
well, they don't
do near as good a job as 247 and Rivals, which is on 3. You know, but
yeah, the ESPN that we're watching today is not the ESPN that you and I knew in its infancy, because that ESPN was a whole lot better than what these guys are doing now. They don't fact check anything. They poor announcing, and they're mad at the Big Ten schools anyway for not, you know.
I seen today that it was posted ESPN has 9 total people in the whole United States reviewing high school kids' tapes and stuff. You can't follow 10,000 football players with 9 people.
No, you can't. But ESPN's gotten cheap. They fired everybody. Well, let's do this, okay? We're going to go one by one with all the signees that we got. And like I said, we got some pictures that we want to share with you guys, but I don't have all 18 of them, or actually 22, because I don't think I have any of the walk-ons here.
Yeah, but they wouldn't let you. They wouldn't let you have all of them, huh?
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
So,
and by the way, you should hit the like button and subscribe.
Yes, please. If you're watching right now, hit the subscribe button. Do it now. Hit the little bell so that when we go out live, you'll get notified. Also, still, even though the school supports more of the whatever program they are now, the Swarm is still involved in the elite players, and they may have had something to do with signing some of the elite guys that we signed today, but they'll definitely be involved in the transfer portal, whoever we get in the transfer portal.
And
we won't know until January.
And they'll be involved in keeping Lauk, Loopmer, Entringer, if we can, the big money people. Those are the guys you got to pay. Kirk wants to pay the guys that have earned it. Loopmer's going to be an All-American next year. Lauk should be an All-American this year, but he ain't going to be just because he's young. Peeper, you know, you got to keep them guys, you know.
Yeah.
And be nice if you could buy the Wet Jet back. But
yeah, all right. Yeah, do you want to talk about the awards that went out for Weegan today, and all the defensive people that made all Big Ten?
I can just say everybody. We could save it for Sunday so Jason can talk about it and everything. We don't.
Speaking of Jason, he's calling us the old man crew. Thank you, Jason.
Yeah.
All right, let's do this. You want to just pick out some people that you want to start talking about, and if I have their picture, I'll put it up.
Well, why don't you go leading off? Put the names. If you got a picture, put it up, and we'll talk about it.
All right. Okay. We'll start with our quarterback.
Yeah, we always do.
you got to. Quarterback's the guy you start with.
Pretty interesting. Tyler Barnes telling the story about getting him. He said that we lost Cash Herrera, you know, went uncommitted and went to Indiana. And he said Lester wanted to go get another quarterback quickly, and Tyler told him, let's wait. He said, and Tyler told him, my favorite quarterback is Traden Bessinger. Let's wait and try flipping him. And that's what they did. And he said Lester was great on the recruiting trip. He looked at film with Bessinger for 4.5 hours. He says Lester likes to talk. And he goes, it's a good thing that he talked to Mr. Bessinger for 4.5 hours. And then Brewer and Bresson, the great tight end recruit, talked Bessinger, asked Bessinger to come and join him. So, but anyway, Bessinger's between 6'4" and 6'5", weighs 215 pounds now. He's rated from anywhere from the 8th to 12th best on these recruiting services. That's quarterback in the entire United States. And he is a 4-star recruit and probably rising. Most people call him Iowa's #1 recruit. I don't know. I think Julian Manson might be, but and he's of course from Utah, and he was committed to Boise State. And as Dean pointed out in our preliminary discussions, that Kai Sherrer ended up committing to Boise State, so we kind of traded guys. He's just a terrific, beautiful passer. I mean, he throws the ball like a Joe Montana or something like this. He's a little twitchy on his running. He just he don't run like CJ Beathard or definitely not Gronk or anything. But I kind of compare him to Kyle McCann, except he's got a little more weight on than Kyle did coming out. And him and Kyle were both good off guards in high school. You know, that's another comparison. And Kyle McCann was a very smart runner, just not a tremendous athlete, you know. And so that's my comparison, is mostly Kyle McCann. But I think in the weight program and get him up in closer to 225 or 230, you know, his speed might even improve in Ray Braithwaite's conditioning program.
Conditioning, weight. Okay.
You know, you want any? Right. You got any comments on him, Dean?
Just that he's a pocket passer, and I thought we were leaning toward more mobile quarterbacks.
Well, he can move the pocket, roll out, and he throws on the run real good. But
okay, great, good to hear that.
Just a beautiful. I call him, you know, Joe Montana was Big Sky Montana, you know, and I call him Big Sky. He just, I love the way he moves in the pocket like Joe did. He just floats around, and I love the way he just throws a beautiful football. But anyway.
All right. So, okay, let's go with the next one I got up here is Jones.
Darian?
Okay. Darian Jones.
Yeah.
What do we got on him?
Well, Darian Jones's dad is a Hawkeye fan. His brother Donovan actually played against us in the game on Black Friday, but Darian's always been, but Darian's always been a Hawkeye fan ever since he was real little, and then his brother's a media guy in Iowa City. He's a Hawkeye, and Darian is a 4-star player, and he's a really good receiver, kick returner, punt returner, but he's a great defensive back, and that's where he's going to play. And he's enrolling early. Bessinger, the quarterback, is not, because he's on a really good basketball team. But Tyler's trying to talk the Utah quarterback into coming. But Darian is enrolling early. He's from Omaha. 6'1", 170. He's a champion in the state of Nebraska in the 110 meter high hurdles, and he's up. And I think he's done that. I think he's won that championship twice. I don't have a 40 time on him or anything, but he sure looks fast. And he's up for Mr. Football in Nebraska. I'm sure the powers that be in Nebraska will be a kind of a bias against him and try to give it to somebody else from the state. But he's a
Probably because
4-star.
he's not staying home.
Yeah, he's a definitely a 4-star, and I have him rated as our 4th best player in the class.
Okay, yeah, and he's looks like Paul says that he will be the next Desmond King. Okay, who's our running back that we got from Bishop Heelan? Since Sean's bringing it up.
Well, he's not a running back. It's I don't. Do you have Jace? Do you have Cason Thomas's picture?
I do. He's actually
Oh,
right here.
put him up. We can talk about him.
Okay,
right
here
now.
he is. All righty. So
Cason
he's not going to
Thomas.
play. He's not going to play running back.
No, he's a linebacker.
Okay, cool.
He plays. He's like, I compare him. I followed this kid when he was in high school. Watched him play in the Shriners game in Iowa as a high school senior, and he played running back. LeVar Woods. This kid reminds me of LeVar Woods. They're the same size coming out of high school, about 6'2", about 205. The thing is, LeVar grew after he got to Iowa. LeVar ended up being a little over 6'3", but that's my comp. And he's from Sioux City, Heelan. He's got a really good vertical jump, and he's a linebacker, even though he was a tremendous running back in high school. And he runs an 11.36 100 meters, which would be, he probably runs a 4.5, 4.55, 40, depending. And he's a 4-star. I have him ranked the 5th best player in our recruiting class. Of course, this year you could be in the top 12 and be a very good football player in our recruiting class. So,
okay,
that's my comparison to him to LeVar Woods. I brought that up on On3, and the recruiting expert on there, Blair Sanderson, he goes, "God, that's a good comparison, Calvin."
Yeah, since LeVar Woods played at the end of Hayden's career and at the beginning of Kirk's career, I did not get to watch them because I was living in California at the time, pre-internet, pre-cell phones, pre-nothing. So didn't get much on LeVar Woods at those times.
And LeVar had a growth spurt, at Iowa, and ended up playing like a big linebacker, big kind of a defensive end linebacker position at Iowa, and that's went to the NFL, But this kid's a very good football player,
All right, let's move on to the next one. Jack Jonda. I think we just got him flipped the other day, right?
Yep. You got a picture of him. Okay.
Yep, I put him up.
Okay. He's from Detroit Central Catholic. I remember back in the day we got Sean Respress from Detroit Central Catholic, probably in the mid 80s or whatever, a linebacker. But Jack Jonda, you actually pronounce it with the J. And I have him ranked in around the 10th, 11th best player. They only rate him as a 3-star, but this kid started the season at 6'4", 210 pounds. Now he's 6'6", 250 pounds. And I compare him. He was a tight end signee with Wisconsin, but he likes playing defense, and Wisconsin was having not a great year. So he flipped to Iowa, and Iowa didn't want him as a tight end. They want him as a defensive tackle. And he's just about he's like Logan Lee with a little bit of Jack Campbell's stretchy athleticism to him. And he's an earlier enrollee too. He's a good late pickup. So Tyler said in June that they were going to try flipping some people. That was their plan, and they sure flipped a couple good ones. So. 6'6", 250. I watched his tape. He's got flexibility to him like Jack Campbell did. And he's not a linebacker, of course, like Jack Campbell, but like Tyler Barnes said today in the news conference, when we recruited Jack Campbell, he was so tall and such a big guy that we talked about, well, we're going to put him at defensive end. But then during the season, Cedar Falls put him at linebacker, and he was so good at linebacker. And Kirk always commented he'd like to have 7 Jack Campbells, because he'd had a defensive line and he'd had an All-American center. He'd have put a bunch of weight on him and had him. That's how good Jack is, And flexibility is very important in football. And this Jonda kid just impressed me on tape to have that Jack Campbell flexibility. So very high on the young man. So,
okay, I got I don't have a picture of this one, but I think his last name is Withers.
Winters.
Colin. Yeah,
well,
Colin.
Colin Withers is from Iowa City West.
Okay, I don't have either one of the. Oh, I got.
You want me to do Withers?
Yes, please. I don't have a picture of him, so I can't put it up there.
Okay, he's an interior offensive lineman that right now is 6'4", and he got up to 330 pounds, but Iowa told him to lose weight, so he's down to 300 right now. He says he don't like dieting, but Kirk told all the offensive linemen coming in to all lose weight, and we'll put it back on you in hard muscle. Mm-hmm. And he's a 3-star rated. I have him ranked about the 10th recruit in the class, but he's, I think he's a 4-star. He throws the discus 186 feet, which is best in the state, and a 58-foot shot put, which is ridiculous. And that's why he's not early enrolling, because of track. He wants to go to the Drake relays and all that. And boy, is he just a monster.
Yeah. It's a good thing too. I mean, Kirk likes these multi athlete stars too, because he knows how much hard work.
Barnett does too. Mm-hmm. And he said that he's wanting to. They want to put him at left guard. Might be the next Bo Stevens. But
all right, here's your next one, Billy. I can't even say that.
Wevolda is from Georgia. Mm-hmm. We'll get down to his, and he's coming in early. I have him ranked a little higher than a lot of other people. I have him 9th in the class. He's a 3-star, but I think he's going to be way better than that. He's 6'3", 210. He reminds me of, Tyler Barnes said today, he reminds him of the, my brain don't work. The good linebacker that came in as a safety, and he played with Morris. Kirksey. He said he reminds him of Kirksey because he's kind of a stretchy linebacker. He reminds me of Justin Jacobs, who played with Jack Campbell, and then he transferred for his 5th year to Oregon. And anyway, really, the only track season he ran was in 2023, which he'd been a sophomore. Mm-hmm. And he ran an 11.5 100. So I would presume that he's probably faster than that. 11.5 is a good 4.55 speed, usually. But this kid, he gets in the weight room at Iowa. I think he's going to really be something, and he's got a lot of flex and long arms, and of course I think I said before, he's enrolling early from out of the state of Georgia.
Okay. Alrighty. All right. Let's keep moving on here. Oh, first of all, let me take a minute here. I want to premiere our new commercial, and we're the first.
Woohoo.
We're going to be the first show to use it today. Here we
Cool.
go. Well, that was our new commercial, but I will have to set them straight because it just said we don't have a set date. We do have a set date every Sunday. And we during the football season we've been doing Tuesday nights. We will once basketball start. I mean, well, basketball's already started. Once we start doing some basketball shows, those will be hit and miss depending on when the games are because we don't want to interfere with them. So, okay. So we are part of the Villains Media Network. As you saw, all those schools that were there, not schools, but podcasts, and you got to see a little picture and video of every one of us. The one person who's missing, though, Paul, was not in that video. And hi, Terry. Good to have you here. Thank you for showing up and watching tonight. We appreciate it. Okay. All right. Who do I want to go to next?
You tell me.
We haven't done this one yet. Owen Linder.
Owen Linder from up in Minnesota. Originally from the state of Kansas. I seen on Corey Breda. They had him on Corey Breda's pod today, which I highly recommend you guys go back and listen to that. And
he does interview. Let's let him know he interviews 6 or 7, 8 of the recruits. So
at least
hear
that
from them directly. They're on his show.
The only offensive lineman he didn't have on was the House of Parliament, Hudson Parliament from South Dakota. And he had Brewer on, and he had Brody Schaefer, the wide receiver. He had Darian Jones, I think, and Marcello Vitti, the great defensive back from Michigan. So we're doing Owen Linder. Sorry, I got carried away there.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, he's a guy that's probably a little underrated as a 3-star at 6 foot. He's grown almost 2 inches in a year. So now he's 6'6", 290 pounds, and he'll be an offensive tackle probably, but he's just a 3-star. But I would have him pegged about the 13th best player. He's enrolling early, and he loves Kirk Ferentz and George Barnett. And he's a big, stretchy guy, and he moved to Minnesota when he was in the 6th grade, and he hates the cold weather, so he's moving south to Iowa City. where tonight being we're going to have a low in Rock Island, Illinois, which is the Quad Cities of -5. So it's supposed to set a record tonight. So for this date. So
for this
and
time of year.
and they talked to Linder. He was a guy that, he said other coaches were running Kirk down, including a certain coach that retired today, and saying that Kirk ain't going to be around. And he said literally out of the 7 schools he was being recruited by at the end that were his favorites, literally half them coaches are gone. And he said Kirk told him that he's going to be around. So that was very interesting that all these offensive line coach guys, they just love Coach Barnett. He just says they don't lie to him, just tells them where they fit in, what their future is, and they appreciate honesty. And again, Owen Linder is enrolling early. So
Okay. Yeah, people are starting to use Kirk's age against him, just like they started to use Hayden's age against him. And so, they do that. All right. Let's move on to this dude, Carson Nielsen. Nielsen.
He's from Waterloo West, up where my nephew teaches up there. He's a Wahawk, and he's enrolling early. And he's 6'7", 290 pounds. Some people have him in the number 1 recruit in their class. I have a little bit of question about him, but I still made him 3 or 4 in our class. He's a very athletic 6'7", 290, has all the tools, and a 4-star. And he is a left tackle. He's practicing at right tackle too, because Kirk told him to, because he doesn't want him to get. If you're a left tackle, you set up with your left foot back, and if you're a right tackle, you set up with your right foot back. And Kirk don't want him to get in that mindset that he can only play on one side. So he's been practicing over there. My only question about him is I want him to hit the weights. He's 6'7", 290, and he's gained 20 pounds in the last couple months. But he needs to get up to 6'7", 330 because he's so tall and long-armed and everything, and he moves really good. Just watching his tape, I'd just like to see him be a little meaner and tougher, And the offensive linemen that have been really highly recruited that maybe don't make it sometimes at Iowa is because they're so big and they dominate in high school. They just don't have that toughness, when you get up going against guys your own size, they might get hit in the mouth and pout about it instead of hitting back, but he's just a great prospect physically. He looks better in the uniform than literally anybody else on this recruiting list. I don't care if they're a linebacker, defensive lineman, cornerback, the quarterback, wide receiver. He just looks perfect in a football uniform. All right. I mean,
cool. How about we move on to Gene Riordan, and I don't have his picture.
Riordan. His name's Riordan, and he's
on the team, right?
Yeah, and he's going to be a swing tackle guard, a 4-star. He is a great player. I have him rated right even with Nielsen, and he's 6'5", 280, and he is just chiseled. And he is a very tough player, and he's enrolling early. And his name is Gene Riordan from Hinsdale, I think, in Illinois. And they rate him a 3-star plus, but I just put him as a 4-star. He's too good. And his brother's better than him. He's got a brother, Tommy, who's a year younger. who's a defensive end, defensive tackle. He'll probably play defensive tackle, hopefully, at Iowa. Gene was on Corey's broadcast today, and he said him and his brother have dreamed about playing with each other. And if they've dreamed about playing with each other, if it ain't in the pros, it better be at Iowa.
It'll be at Iowa.
I sure hope so.
Mark it down. Tommy's going to commit.
And his brother Tommy is about 6'5", like his brother, but he only weighs about 250 right now, and he's more athletic. So, but the coaches in Iowa City, every one of these offensive linemen, when they committed, the coaches did a little celebration. So
I bet, because we're going to need some offensive linemen. We do. We really do. Too bad we weren't able to get that edge rusher that committed to Boston College.
Well, he was a defensive tackle, but
I thought it said edge rusher on his thing when I looked at it.
He's like 6'3" and weighed 295. They're 6'2", 295. But anyway.
Okay. We're moving. I also don't have a picture for Luke Brewer.
Oh, the great tight. I think he's the best tight end prospect Iowa has recruited out of high school since Moyaki. Some people would say C.J. Fedorowicz. Those are the last two tight ends that were recruited that were actual 4 or 5. Well, I forgot about Thomas Meyer, who's a true freshman this year.
Yeah, they're high on him. He made the travel squad this year.
Oh God, yes. I forgot about him. He hasn't played yet. I'm on to the next year already. But Luke Brewer, he was an old. Like Tyler Barnes said, he was really too old to be in a junior in high school. He's already been 17 for a while. So another school mentioned to Luke to reclassify. He's supposed to be in a junior this year. And he did reclassify. And then he told Iowa he was going to reclassify which Tyler Barnes already had the idea. Hey, we got to ask him if he's interested in reclassifying. And because we weren't taking
on it.
And he jumped on it, but Iowa was not in his top 3 when he decided to reclassify. And he's been an Iowa fan his whole life. He put up a picture today of him when he was 3-4 years old in an Iowa uniform, but his family are all Cyclones,
except for his sister who plays softball for Iowa.
Yep, he said his sister came and joined. Iowa State probably didn't have a softball team. But he said his sister came to Iowa to play softball. It was her freshman year, and she liked Iowa City. And he was always an Iowa fan, but he wasn't going to. Iowa was not. He was pretty much Iowa State guy because of his family. Going to go to Iowa State. When he reclassified, Iowa State already had 2 or 3 tight ends committed. Thank God. And I just love Luke Brewer. He was a 4-star in a junior class. And then when he reclassified, some recruiting places moved him down to a 3-star, and I ain't taking any of that. He's a 4-star. That's bull crap. And
hey,
anyway,
Tyler had another story. What was the one that has the brother that plays for Nebraska? I forgot which one it was.
We already did Darian Jones.
Yeah, I know it. But I was just going to say that
his brother was
Iowa
Donovan.
fan that he sat right in the middle with his family. We're all in Nebraska gear and wore his Hawkeye gear.
A year ago, the family came to watch the brother play, and all of them had their Nebraska gear on except Darian. He sat in the Nebraska family section with his Hawkeye gear on. So
maybe now that brother's coming, maybe his brother will jump in the portal and come to Iowa. I mean,
Yeah, and Brewer was on Corey's deal, and he was telling about Iowa not being in his top 3. But as soon as he reclassified and Tyler talked to him, he said, "We want you to come down and visit." And he said, "Well, of course I'm coming down, And he came down, and Jay Neiman, Jay Neiman and Abdul Hodge were his recruiters. Hodge is the tight end coach. And they showed him the Iowa way at tight end, and his hero is George Kittle. And he told him that he's such a great athlete. They told him, you want to block like Kittle, come to Iowa. Kittle, Hawkinson, and Dallas Clark are the greatest blocking tight ends, in the NFL, and helps make Iowa tight end you.
Mm-hmm.
And then he met Bessinger, the quarterback, on his visit. They became friends. And Jay Neiman said to him, and he said Jay Neiman's one of the nicest people. He said all the coaches at Iowa are just so nice. And he said Jay Neiman just looked him in the eye, and he said, "Can I give you a piece of advice?" And Luke goes, "Yeah." And he goes, for the best future, if I wasn't coaching at Iowa, I would tell you to come to Iowa. And it wasn't very long after his visit that him and Bessinger both colluded to come to Iowa. And it's a great, great thing. This kid is so twitchy, tall, lanky, fast, hands, and he's so good at Norwalk that they played without a tight end. And he was so good when he was a freshman and sophomore that they created a tight end. The coach changed the way they played offense and started using a tight end. But,
okay, all righty. Okay, let's move on to Ronnie Hill, another one I don't have a picture for. I only have 3 more people I have pictures for, but I'm just kind of saving them so, for a little bit.
Ronnie Hill would be one of the lowest ranked ones as a 3-star. He's one of them guys that Phil Parker kind of found up in Michigan. And he's the lowest ranked one, but he might end up being one of the best ones of the bunch. He plays wide receiver and safety and defensive back in high school and returns punts and kicks. And he's kind of a stretchy cornerback, maybe safety, 6'1", 180. And he runs a 21.9 200. And that is a very good 200-meter time. He doesn't run a 100 meters because his track team up there where he's at has a bunch of very fast sprinters. So he don't get to take part in 100 meters. He just does a sprint medley relay or whatever it's called. But boy, he fast in a 200, and he's enrolling early. And I wouldn't be surprised if he jumps over a bunch of these other guys. I'd have him rated about the 17th best recruit if you went by ratings. But
so he might end up bottom.
I know, but he might end up being the 3rd or 4th best.
Yeah, you never know how these guys are going to work out.
Bobby Sanders and Robert Gallery were 2 of the worst recruits we ever recruited.
Yeah, look what happened there.
We were scraping. Kirk thought he was scraping barrel bottom, when he took them 2 guys his first recruiting class. So.
Oh yeah. Oh, I remember. Bobby Sanders had a lot to do with us winning the that first bowl game.
And the Baltimore and the Indianapolis Colts winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah. All right. Sawyer Jezierski. I should probably have a pronunciation on here somewhere.
Yeah, we should have, somebody from another nation pronounce that probably. Jezierski is the way I say it. I don't know.
That sounds pretty good. I'll go with that.
I actually watched him play like a week and a half ago in the Minnesota high school state championship game. Oh. He's an early enrollee. He'd be the lowest ranked one probably, but he's 6'4", 280, and he's a nose guard defensive tackle, a plugger. He kind of reminds you of somebody like Carl Klug or Passat or Louis. He's a lot taller than the Steck kid was that played for Kirk, but he's just a plugger up the middle. And I watched that in that championship game. He had 2 or 3 guys blocking him every play. But he's a strong devil, and he's just a 3-star. But and he's an early enrollee, and Calvin Bell explained why they took him was the transfer that was real good this year. That was a sophomore. His name's Hawthorne, right? He said we didn't offer him out of high school, and this kid we thought was kind of the same category, and we thought, don't make this mistake on this kid and let him go to Minnesota or North Dakota State or South Dakota State. You know, that's why that was their explanation, and he looked good in the state championship. He just didn't do anything because he literally had 2 big guys blocking him the whole game. But he ate up the blockers, and his team rallied to win the state championship. So,
all right, sounds like we got a decent one there. All right,
I hope so.
I think we got 2 wide receivers in this class, right? One of them's Brody Schaefer. 3 of them.
We got 3 scholarships. We got Brody Schaefer, DeAndre Smith, and then the last one that committed, Xavier Stinson. Which one do you want to do?
Let's do Stinson first, because I happen to have his picture.
Cool. Stinson is 6'3", 200 pounds. He was committed to UCLA. They fired their coach. So we jumped in on him and we got him. We flipped him. And he's coming in early. He's from Florida. At 6'3", 200 pounds, he'd be built. He's built very similar to Brandon Smith, but he's a lot faster than Brandon Smith ever dreamed to be in. You know, Brandon Smith might run a 4.55 or 4.58 on a good day. You know, and this kid runs an 11 flat, 100 meters, which is faster than Caden Wetchen did in high school.
Okay, so would you say that he's an upgrade compared to some of the previous wide receivers we have, including this year's team?
I don't know. I'd say he's comparable kind of to Vanderzee. At 11 flat, 100 meters, I think Vanderzee ran right in that area, maybe at 10.8 or something. It's hard to tell. You know, he runs at 22.5, 200 meters, so he carries that. You know, but who cares how far you run at 200 meters when a football field's 100 yards long? You know, but he's a high 3-star, and he is built very powerful like a Brandon Smith, but he's faster. You know, and I'd be very high on him. Early enrollee again. We got so darn many. We have 8 4-stars, so you know I have him ranked like the 11th best player. But
this is dedication when they come to school in January and enroll early, so they can get a jump on spring practice. Because you know, I'm not sure if I was these guys, I would stay in school so I can go to prom and all that good stuff coming up.
Well, there's plenty of pretty girls in Iowa City, Dean.
Especially no kidding? If you're on is there really?
Yeah, or is especially if you're on the football team, and the sooner you enroll at Iowa, the sooner you start cashing a paycheck. How's that?
or you might get married early, like Aaron Graves, and have a baby.
But yeah, I wouldn't recommend a freshman having a baby yet. But that's the truth of the matter nowadays. Is everybody that is on a scholarship not only gets a scholarship, they also get you know, revenue share and nil.
Yeah, so it helps them get married earlier because they got money. All right,
and a real key thing is, Dean, you start going to classes and getting ready. You know, academically too. That's important.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Get situated and get in the weight program and the nutrition program and learn the offense. So,
there you go. Who's better out of these two, DeAndre Smith or Brody Schaefer? I don't have a picture for either one of these.
I'll tell you in 6 years.
Alrighty. Pick one. Pick one and let's talk about it.
Well, we'll go with the other Florida wide receiver, DeAndre Smith, another early enrollee. He's 5'11", 175. He runs an 11-1 meters, so about the same as Stinson. He just ain't the big guy that Stinson is. He had a great start to the season. His team, I think, threw the ball more early in the season. In some games, he'd have like 9 catches. He only ended up with like 30 catches on the year because when they got into the playoffs and everything, their team became more of a running team and didn't throw the ball near as much. He's a 3-star, of course, from Florida, early enrolling again. And I've seen his tape. He looks good. I'd rank him right in there, a notch below Stinson, just because Stinson's 6'3", 200 pounds. That's a big wide receiver with the same speed, right? So
yeah. Okay. Let's
we
do
go
this
into.
one. Let's do this one next.
You didn't want to knock out.
Are
you want to knock out the other receiver?
Oh yeah, why not? Why not?
Do you have Brody Schaefer's picture?
I do not. That's the one I was trying to upload when they told me I had to cut it off at the first 10.
He was on Corey's podcast today. Very smart player. Looks a lot like, I hate to say it, but facially, hair wise, and a lot of his measurables, he looks like Lutmer and Cooper DeJean. And he said his favorite player is Lutmer now at Iowa, and Lutmer helped recruit him. He's got a 36-inch vertical. He has good dunking highlights in basketball. He was a quarterback in high school, but he's going to play wide receiver. He's also a punt returner and kick returner. And of course, he played defense up there, but he's going to be a wide receiver at Iowa. Most other schools, like Wisconsin and stuff, recruited him as a defensive back, but he does not want to play defensive back. He's 6 foot tall, 190. He wants to return punts and be a kick returner. He loves Wetjen and Cooper DeJean. I'm
looking at his picture. I hope he doesn't have a girlfriend because he's going to have a lot of girls at the Iowa chasing this dude. He's a very pretty looking boy for a football player.
Yeah, I can't remember whether I said this or not, but he's 6 foot tall, 195 pounds. So he's put together about like Lutmer, and Cooper DeJean was probably an inch taller, maybe. But he runs a 10-800 meters, which is a Cooper DeJean speed. 3-star because he's a wide receiver and he didn't play wide receiver in high school. He said he really loves Boudmeyer and Lester. He said Boudmeyer really forced the issue for Iowa to recruit this kid. He had a great year, led his team to the state championship, kind of like Cooper DeJean's state championship. He picked a pass. They were behind. He picked a pass off, and then they went down and scored a touchdown, and then they sacked the quarterback, and they got the ball back, and he got another touchdown to win the state championship. He runs a 4.45 40. He has a 22.5 long jump, and he's not enrolling early because he wants to play basketball, of course, and he also wants to break the records for 100 meters and the long jump. He owns the records at his school, but he wants to go make them even better.
Wants to break his own records. There you go.
He's got a great vertical jump, and if you can jump 22.5 in the long jump, that's pretty athletic. So.
Okay. All righty. Are you done with him?
Yeah.
Okay. This one. Teach everybody how to say his name properly. You heard it today on Corey's show.
He's his dad's side of his family, his mother's African American, and his dad's side of the family are very Italian. It's Marcello Vitti. Vitti, not Vitti, and not Marcello. It's Marcello Vitti, and he is from. That was great to listen to him talk on Corey's thing. He's
I'll have to watch it. I'll have to watch it
yeah,
later when I get a
his
chance.
everybody in his dad's side of the family his mother was a soccer player at Wake Forest. His dad was a football player at Wake Forest. That's where his parents met. And anyway, but everybody in the family was very athletic. He said his most famous athlete in the family, it was weird. His nickname was, and this was so long ago, he was a track star, and his name was Hawkeye Thomas. Hawkeye was
Thomas.
Yeah, he says it's weird. Now I'm a Hawkeye. None of our family had any ties to the University of Iowa, but they called him Hawkeye Thomas. Hawkeye was his nickname because he was a champion long jumper, and they said it looked like he flew like a Hawkeye, like a falcon or something through the air. So that was weird, but everybody in his family's real athletic. His oldest brother played football at Navy, and then he transferred to a place called Hope University or Hope College. And right now, that older brother's in a transfer portal. He wants to play his last year and try to find a Division I to go to and see if he can make it at Division I. I think he's a defensive back. And then he's got a little brother who is a freshman this year, and he started with Marcello. Mm-hmm. And he's supposed to be very good. They won the state championship. Well, this on Saturday, actually. And then he's got a sister that's very athletic. And he said everybody in the family, uncles, aunts, everybody's very athletic. And anyway, the particulars on him, I call him a 4-star, but they call him a high 3-star. And let's see here if I can read my own writing. Marcello Vitti's from Michigan, of course. He was a star running back, cornerback, safety, punt returner, kick returner, wide receiver. He just played all over. Some people think in tenacity is a lot like Sebastian Castro. He's 5'11", 185, but he just seems way quicker and faster to me than Castro. And he's an early enrollee, and he could play safety, he could play cash, he could play cornerback. We'll just have to see exactly where he turns out. But he's I have him ranked like the 11th best guy in the class, and he's probably higher than that. But
alrighty, we are going to take a quick break, and then we'll be right back. I need to use the room, and so we're going to rerun that commercial the second time through. Be right back. All right, we're back. I cut that commercial off. I was watching our viewer clips go down, I was thinking, well, obviously they got bored and left. Are you done with Marcello? Marcello?
Marcello Vitti, I am done. Whenever I want to say his name, I just imagine I'm in the Godfather movie.
All
I
right.
have two.
Here's my final picture.
We have two. Yeah, there he is. We have two scholarship guys left and the 4 walk-ons left.
Yep, I got Hudson Parliament here. You called him House of Parliament.
The House of Parliament, because he's big as a house. And then I think he's from the House of Pancakes, because the guy literally every week he plays, they keep track of his pancakes, and it's literally like 15 a game. He was Player of the Year in South Dakota as a junior. He's the powerlifting champion of the region. That's okay. And they're gonna start him out at center. He's 6'4", 320 pounds. And he lifts like 700 pounds, what they call a deadlift or something. And he'll beat Peeper in the hay toss thing. I think he's an early enrollee. He's an early enrollee. I predict at Solon hay toss, he'll toss a bale, and then while he's waiting for the next round, he'll eat a bale of hay.
Okay. By the way, Peeper,
I thought that was funny.
How much eligibility does he have? 1 or 2 more years?
Hudson Parliament?
No,
he's got 5 years.
Peeper.
Oh, Peeper, if he don't, he's going to be the center next year, so I think he's coming back. The NFL would like to draft him this year, but they know his future is as an all-pro center. Yeah. And I think he'll come back, and the Swarm will pay him handsomely to come back. He'll be the center, and so he'll probably play one more year at Iowa.
Yeah. As far as I know, Cone Ettinger is the only one that has a real decision to make. And he's probably going to make it for the NFL.
Well, there's some other decisions like Lauk and Lutmer, but we'll pay him.
They're probably going to stay, though. They're probably not going.
Lauk this year as a redshirt sophomore is our highest rated offensive lineman at the 2 toughest positions on the offensive line are center, because you have more things to do than just block.
Mm-hmm.
And then left tackle is the hardest one, and the one that the NFL loves. And Lauk has not even allowed a quarterback pressure this year as a redshirt sophomore. And he's just built like a gopher or a badger or something, just his ears attached to his shoulders, his neck was like that. But anyway, back to Parliament, the House of Parliament, Hudson Parliament from South Dakota. I'm looking to see if I skipped anything. I think he's got a great shot put and discus and all that shit. And he could, I think, if he didn't play, he's never played center before, but he's been practicing center, not in games. He's the type of guy that you could just stick in there and play because he's that great of a run blocker already. And I have him ranked as the 6th best guy in the class, and that's how good our class is. Yeah. So
okay. Well, let's finally, for the last scholarship player, I saved him for the end. I don't have his picture, but he's your number 1 guy, my understanding. So Julian Manson.
They call him Jude. Tyler Barnes has known him since he was a little.
Juju.
Calls him Juju Manson.
Yeah.
Of course, he's coming in. He surprised me. He wasn't supposed to come in early, but Tyler announced that there was going to be 14 guys enrolling early, and we only had 13. And I asked Blair or Sanderson, I said, well, who's the 14th guy? And Blair says, I don't know, but I'll find out. Here it's Julian Manson. He's going to have shoulder surgery, so he's not going to play he's a basketball star.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not going to be able to play basketball. And I thought he's like a state track champion. I thought he'd want to go run track and break more records, but no, he's
so he won't be
enrolled.
able to do spring practice then if he's having soldier surgery.
No, but he can do maybe he can get to surgery at the University of Iowa
There you
free.
go. There
Maybe
you
he
go.
can get his academics going and they get therapy. And you've had surgery. A lot of times you need physical therapy, right? So
You need it all
that
the
would be
time. You always need it, no matter what.
this kid here. I hate to put the whammy on him. He reminds me of Chad Greenway.
Wow,
He's
that's saying a lot right there.
Chad Greenway is one of the greatest athletes that ever played at Iowa. He come out of high school running a 4.40, and he ended up being 6'5", 245 pounds, and he still ran a 4.4 something 40. That's why he was a first round draft pick. This kid's 6'4", 215. He keeps growing. 4-star, should be a 5-star. If he was at a different state, and if other schools knew he was coming to Iowa, so pretty much the only schools that recruited him were Kansas State and Iowa. Georgia should have been all over him. He's coming in early.
Well, his dad works for the university. Sounds
that's right.
A football coach.
And then Tyler said, everybody knows Julian Manson could come in and be a wide receiver at 6'4", 215.
Mm-hmm.
With his unbelievable speed. He could come in and be a tight end. Like it was talked about at the news conference today. And Tyler goes, yeah. And he goes, he could be a safety at that because he's so fast. But he said when he was a freshman, he come to Iowa football camp and his father said, put a helmet on him and stick him at linebacker. I want to see if he plays all these skill positions. I want to see how he handles physicalness. And he was knocking people out. He was just like a human battering ram at linebacker. And after that camp, his high school, Iowa City West, put him in at linebacker. And he's just a tackling machine, tough. And he runs a 7.25, 60 meters. He runs an 11.3, 100 meters. And he runs a 20, 22, 200 meters. And then he can long jump and do all this, play basketball. He'd be my top recruit in the class. And anyway.
Okay, so that would probably leave us with the 4 walk-ons.
Yep.
Hang on. I had it there and I just lost it. I had the 4 walk-ons up there. Okay. Yep. Try again. I had them. The phone picks, when you don't pay for stuff and you try to cheat, it makes you go now. Okay, so that would be Noah Daniel, right? A walk-on?
Yeah, Noah Daniel is a safety.
Mm-hmm.
And he's from Fort Dodge. And he is, I don't know how they got him to not go to, he was committed to one of the Dakota schools, I think. And I don't know how they got him to walk on because he runs a 10. Well, let's see here. He's 6 foot, 190 pounds. He'll be a defensive back. And he runs a 10,700 meters. Do you know how fast that is?
That's pretty fast. That sounds
faster than Cooper DeJean, faster than Wet Jet. I think Coop ran a 10.8. 10.7 is that's like very fast for a big guy. He runs a 23 200, so he kind of slows down when he's trying to put another 100 meters on. But
Yeah, and the
anyway,
nice
it
thing
just
about this is
amazes me that he's a walk on and didn't take a scholarship someplace. He must love the Hawkeyes. So
he has to, but he comes from Fort Dodge, right there in the heart of Cyclone Country.
yep, right in the heart of desolation, as I call it.
Okay. The next one I got is David Faison. Does that sound familiar to you?
David Faison. He's from Cedar Rapids Prairie. I'm so excited about him.
Okay.
He plays, get this, Dean. He
Hmm.
plays he plays running back, tight end, defensive end, and defensive tackle. He's 6'2", 255 pounds.
So he's
And I mean, he
basically
ran the ball. He ran the ball for like 400 yards. He caught like 20, 30 passes. But I think he's going to be a defensive tackle, and he'll be in the Jonathan Babineau type guy that comes in here, and he'll end up weighing 290 pounds.
I
And
gotta go
he's
watch
very
this.
athletic.
I gotta watch this tape of this guy
Yeah, you
running the
got
ball.
to. You talk about, well, when he's running the ball, he's just, he's like watching David Hudson run the ball or
Well, how did Cedar Rapids
somebody
Prairie
like
do in
that.
the state playoffs with him on the team?
I don't
Mr.
know.
Everything.
I don't
I'm
know. I
surprised
think
he didn't play a little quarterback.
they might have got knocked out by the powerhouse Dowling or something. But I know Carson Nielsen, I think, did the first round, and Prairie probably did the second round. They're pretty well coached, but he's very twitchy when he's lined up, as a defensive lineman. And I would call him kind of a Jonathan Babineau, and I would guess in a year and a half he'll be on scholarship, would be my guess,
Cool.
because he had offers of scholarships other places, maybe even like Iowa State. I see Iowa State signed like 28 guys today. Holy shit!
All right, and then we've got
Iowa just don't do that, Dean.
yeah.
So
Yeah. Okay. Then we got Dean Oliver's son, Isaiah Oliver, out of Waukee Northwest, wide receiver. 195 pounds, 6 foot tall.
6 foot, 195, runs an 11.3 100, which is good for a walk on. And he's built like Dean was, pretty stocky.
Yeah.
He's a tough guy. 11.3 100, which would be about a 4.5, 4.55 40, which is good speed, especially for a walk on. And he's got good hands. He jumps, and he has a 23.5 foot long jump. So you can tell he was sired by a basketball player that could jump, So, and I really like him. I can't believe Iowa does the best job of getting walk-ons of anybody. Of course, it helps that Isaiah's dad was a Hawkeye.
It does.
So
It does, and we've certainly gotten no matter what sport it is, we sure getting a lot of sons of former Hawkeyes playing, whether it be basketball or football. You notice that? Pretty soon it might be wrestlers. Wrestlers might stop all their sons might stop popping up, or daughters, as the case may be.
Yeah, I wonder who the first the first sons of Hawkeyes I remember were all the Hilgenbergs back in the 70s. Wally and Jerry's boys. Well, Jerry's boys, Joel and Jay, they came to Iowa, but there's probably other ones before that, but anyway.
Okay, well,
we got one more walk-on, another wide receiver.
Yep, Eli Robbins out of Norwalk, Iowa, 190 pounds, 6 foot tall.
Yep, they when he committed, he was supposed to be a cornerback. And anyway, today they said no, he's going to be a wide receiver. So maybe they decided to stock up instead of spending money on wide receivers that ain't any better than him out of the portal. I got him down at 6 foot 180. And he is the only one of the walk-ons that I have as early enrolling. Of course, Oliver's playing basketball. He ain't gonna come. And
how good is Isaiah Oliver compared to his dad in basketball?
oh, you don't compare at all.
Well, I'm just wondering because Joaquin Northwest is no slouch for school. No slouch
Yeah.
school.
He ain't that good at all, or he'd be
Getting a
Ben
basketball
McCollum would. If anybody as good as Dean Oliver, Ben McCollum would have him on the committed to Iowa.
Yeah.
Dean Oliver was one hell of a player. He was pretty good in all facets of basketball. You know, he was one of them point guards that could guard people, handle the ball, shoot. You know, he just wasn't an All-American. But anyway, this Robbins is from Norwalk. He's a teammate of Brewer. They're going to early enroll together. And he was a quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and defensive back in high school. I don't have any speeds on him. I don't think him and Brewer were much into track, but they are like very, very, very good friends. So
welcome, Vandy, to the show.
Yeah. And if anybody out there has any questions or anything, or
guys,
if the show is running long.
Yeah, feel free to just comment. Vandy says, if I'm a son of a former wrestler, I'm not going to Iowa until Brands is fired. Guy has 4 national championships, though.
Depends where you're. Yeah, Brands is a top 5, 10 coach, but in wrestling circles, it was always, always the dominant team is the only one you talk about. You only talked about Dan Gable, and then you only talked about John Smith, and now you only talk about Cale Sanderson.
Yeah,
that's the way wrestling is. It's like Vandy. If wrestling was like football, we'd never talk about the number 12 team or 14 team in the CFP, which is Vanderbilt. But I have great respect for Vanderbilt. Did you know Vanderbilt got the number 1 quarterback in the country?
Yes.
They wrote him a check.
Not that they don't have one right now.
Where's he
playing for him?
He was committed to somebody else, and I can't remember whether it was Georgia, Alabama, where it was.
Don't get Vandy started now. I mean,
well, why not? I'm done with my recruiting rundown. I like Vandy. I like talking to him and all that stuff, and I like looking at Pavia's mother. But I'm just trying to be funny. So
yeah, I just don't want to play him in a bowl game, and by all accounts, everybody's saying that we're going to the Reliquist Bowl against Vanderbilt.
I like it. I think we'd be a big underdog to Vanderbilt, but it's like Kirk said. They asked him what you want to do, and he said, "Well, our goal is to win every game, for one thing." And he said, as far as a bowl game, if we aren't in the playoffs, he goes, "I want my team to be able to go to the very best bowl we can get to with our, win as many games as we can, get to the best bowl we can. And I want to play the best team we can, because that's what football is about." And I think Vanderbilt, I don't understand why they're not, with only 2 losses, I don't understand why the hell they think they're out of playoff contention and why they aren't in the playoffs already.
Well, right now,
they are the best team. They are the best team that would be in a bowl game that ain't in the playoffs, in my opinion.
Which is why I can't understand why they're getting knocked down to the Reliquist Bowl when they should be going to the Citrus Bowl, the Cheez-It Bowl.
Oh, they want Michigan to play Texas in the Citrus Bowl. That's what the Citrus Bowl and the SEC wants. That's like, it pisses me off, the SEC. And the Big Ten's always been like this. If Iowa and Michigan would have had the same record, Michigan was always going to go before Iowa because they're Michigan.
That way,
and that's the way Vanderbilt is treated like a second-class citizen by their conference. You
Yeah,
know,
I believe you will get no argument from Vandy. He says I haven't
I'm
seen
just
a
telling
single
I'm
projection
just
of
that's just the way
Vanderbilt.
I see it. I like to be fair, you know,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
stick to reality. What's he saying? Because I can't read any of it.
Okay. So first, okay, I'm going to read you everything he's written so far.
Okay,
Okay. The quarterback you're talking about was committed to University of Georgia. This is the
there you
second
go.
time in 3 years that the number 12 QB was committed to Georgia and flipped.
Mm-hmm.
His next statement is, I haven't seen a single projection that Vanderbilt going to the Reliquist Bowl. Everything around here is saying we're going to the Cheez-It Bowl. And as Vandy, as you know, I predicted Michigan Vanderbilt in the Cheez-It Bowl. But here's what he's saying about this. He goes, that isn't true about Texas and Michigan. Greg Sankey wants Vanderbilt in the Cheez-It. I
So is
take it
that
that Greg
is it
Sankey is
cheese?
the
Is
SEC.
it what was it? The Cheez It Bowl. Is that the old Citrus Bowl or what?
Yeah, it's actually the Cheez-It
Okay.
Citrus Bowl now, as it's formerly
Well,
known.
I've never heard of the Cheez It Bowl. That's why I asked.
It's
You know,
first year. I can't
anyway,
remember what their sponsor was last year. They had a sponsor last year, and I can't remember what it was.
the national media, not local but national, like the Athletic,
Mm-hmm.
who's they are very tied in with those. They know what the CFP committee's thinking,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, and they know what the bowl committees and the
Mm-hmm.
conferences are thinking. They know what on weekly games, they know what network's going to pick what game before they do it. You
Yeah,
know, they go, it's 90% is all this is what they're saying, not what Calvin's saying. 90% say it's Vandy and Iowa in the
yeah.
I
And
call
that's
it
what
the
the
out.
Midwest.
I
That's what
call
the
it the
Midwest
out.
is
I
saying.
call
Yeah.
it the Outback Bowl, but I guess it's the ReliaQuest. We haven't been there since 2018 when we played Mississippi State. So
It seems like we go so often. You would have thought we'd gone since. Okay, Vandy's corrected himself, and I wondered when he said number 12, but it's actually the number
number
one
one,
quarterback, not number 12.
yeah.
Raiola was committed to Georgia before flipping. Hey, maybe Georgia
What?
will take him back now that he's going to jump in the portal.
So Underwood wasn't another Georgia guy that went to Michigan, or was Underwood LSU or something? Does Vandy know?
Well, he'll tell us in a minute because I'm sure he does. I know he
Because
was. I know he was committed elsewhere before
Was
Michigan got him.
number one 3 years ago, and I thought Underwood was number one last year, and this year is this
Underwood
guy.
was LSU. Underwood was LSU.
Okay,
Okay, so
the year before might have been the guy that's at UCLA now, Lala, whatever you call him, Lala underachiever or whatever.
yeah, I'm
I think
thinking. Here's
he's
what
a
I want.
pretty good player myself.
Here's what I want. I want to play either Arizona in the Vegas Bowl, or if we got to go like Music City again, I want to play Missouri. I want to play somebody we can beat.
Yeah,
I
the
don't think
inside,
we. I
even
don't
the
think.
inside people at the athletic department of Iowa has already told people, hey, we know we're going to Tampa, you
Mhm,
know, but
yeah. Well, and that's what they're saying. 99% sure. Okay, so would you rather play Texas or Vanderbilt? Who do we have a better chance of beating? Because it's going to be one of those two.
I'd rather play Arch Manning than Pavia myself. Will Pavia, Vandy, you're in on it. Will that tight end set out the bowl game? Some of these guys that are so good pro prospects, they sit out, you know. I don't expect anybody for Iowa to sit out, but
Pavia could sit out if he's going pro.
I think he's too much of a gamer,
You think so?
you know.
Okay.
I sure love him. I don't know. Vandy's the one that's
He's
down there.
he's a great quarterback. That's why I don't want to face him. We don't do well against good quarterbacks.
You when you're in the Big Ten and you finish high, you're going to play really good SEC teams.
That's what I'm saying is we're overmatched.
That's why Kirk's bowl record is like 50-50. I don't know what it is, like
Yeah.
10 wins and 11 losses, or
But
10 and 12.
people don't understand though because of where we finish in the standings and we in the Big 10 is, we're always getting overmatched to an SEC team. They're always overmatching us, and I don't like this.
And
I think
for
it's
a
a better
long
bowl
time,
game. I just want to say
for
for a better bowl game, better matchup. Try to get two teams that are of equal.
until the last 1 or 2 years, Kirk had a winning record against SEC bowl teams,
Yeah.
and that you can go look it up. But
Okay. In
again,
the last
when we
three.
when we did our preseason thing, what did I say? I said I was going to end up 8-5 because there's going to be 13 games. And my exact quote was, we're either going to go 7-5 and go to a lesser bowl and win the bowl, or we're going to go 8-4 and go play another SEC team that probably has more talent and will lose and go 8-5. That was my prediction.
Okay. All right. I'm going to read to you everything Vandy said because he answered some of your questions.
Yeah.
Okay. We also flipped a wide receiver from Alabama today. That's pretty good. They must have a lot of money now. Of our 22 signees, 20 will be early enrollees in January. Hey, Chris, where did they where did their recruiting class rank nationally? Okay. Eli Stowers will not sit out the bowl game. Neither is Pavio. This Vandy roster is committed in capital letters to finishing the job.
And
That would be kind of like Iowa.
they're probably, knowing Vanderbilt, they're probably going to be highly paid just to play in the bowl game. But I worry about that tight end because he's so tall, that he looks like somebody could take a leg out, in his last game instead of going. That's what I would worry about, his injury. But pretty
Vanderbilt
interesting
finished
today.
number 30 in the recruiting.
Yeah. The number one class in the country this year was USC. Number two was maybe Ohio State. It was another Big Ten team. Maybe it was Oregon. I don't know. It's like USC had like
Oregon.
five stars or something.
Oregon.
It was Oregon.
Yeah, Oregon. I'll read it off to you. I get it. I got it
And
right.
the number one wide receiver in the country decommitted from Ohio State and went to USC today. Okay. Probably because Hartline left.
All righty. So here we go. Here we go. These are how the Big Ten teams rank nationally. USC 1, Oregon 2, Ohio State 6. When was the last time that happened? Michigan 11, Washington 13. Illinois finishes ahead of us at 23. Iowa finishes at 24. Minnesota at 25. There we go. 23, 24, 25. Indiana, for all the success they've had the last 2 years, they only finished 31, but they probably didn't have a whole lot of signees. This is based on the number of signees too. The fewer you got, the higher your ranking or lower your ranking will be.
Signetti's got so much money, and a lot of them transfers he's got are graduating.
Mm-hmm.
He's probably, and Mendoza will probably go pro. He probably he probably didn't fill all his scholarships with high school guys because he's going to reload with transfers.
I'm sure that's it. Michigan
when
State
they put in
40.
when they put in the transfers with these ratings in January and February, Iowa will drop probably to 30th or 35th.
Okay. All right. Anyway, Michigan State's at 40. Rutgers is at 42. Maryland at 46. Purdue at 50, which is not bad considering they're Purdue. Northwestern at 53. UCLA at 58. I'm kind of surprised that's so low. Wisconsin finishing at 69. Nebraska at 110. Penn State at 144. Nebraska, why are they at 110? Do they not have many signees either and getting ready to raid
the portal? Hell? Who wants to go play for that freak show coach?
Mm-hmm. All right, let me read you.
Who wants to go play for Matt Rule? Who dangles out there the Penn State job when Penn State wasn't even interested in it.
Okay, I'm going to read you the last two things that Vandy wrote. Did you know that the tight end Eli Stowers was a 5-star QB that went to Texas A&M as part of the highest graded recruiting class in history? He then transferred to New Mexico State and was their starter. So he's at his third school. That shouldn't even be allowed.
Oh, shit, that's no big deal.
Well,
That AJ Store, the basketball player, he's at his fourth school in 4 years.
I know it, but I just
It's
hate
kind
that
of funny
because
that they're both named Store, you know. But,
yeah. Then Pavia
but
showed up
I
and took
didn't
the
know
job
any of
from
that.
him.
I didn't know any of that stuff. I really literally just concentrate on Iowa, you know.
Okay. Alrighty. All right. Then Pavia showed up and took the job away from him, so he moved to tight end. He's only played 3 years at tight end in his life. Um,
Yeah.
Now you were talking about Kirk's SEC records. In his last 4 bowls, he's 1-3 against the SEC.
I know that, but
Okay.
he was above 500 before that.
Okay.
You can
Alrighty.
you can ask Nick Saban and Florida and the schools, Mississippi State, those schools, you know.
Yeah. Now,
I
if
know
we had,
we
if
lost to
Missouri,
Oklahoma. We lost to Oklahoma a couple times and Texas once in a bowl with Kirk, but they were not SEC teams at the time.
yeah.
They were Big 12 teams.
Now we could have gone. We could have gone 5 years and gone 2-3 if Missouri hadn't have been so chicken in 2020 to show up for the bowl game. You
Yeah,
know.
and you know, it's like two of them games, one Kentucky game and last year, you know, we just barely lost them games. It wasn't like when we played Tennessee, we were embarrassed, you know, but
Didn't we
that's
have the
just that's just
lead in the Missouri game last year in the bowl game, and then we
well,
lost the lead?
hell yeah. And then if we'd have got our quarterback sneak first down, you know, in the game against Missouri last year, we'd probably kept driving and won, you know, but we went on fourth down.
Quarterback
And
sneak with Sully.
and
With Sully.
and
Yeah, that
and
makes sense. That makes
and
sense.
Sully ran the worst quarterback sneak I think ever in the history of Iowa.
Well, that's because he's not made to run a quarterback sneak. He should have just ran around
Yeah,
the end and
he act
bootlegged
like
it into the end zone.
act like he hadn't practiced it. He stood straight up and kind of drifted off to his left and got murdered, you know. But
Alrighty.
anyway,
Hey, I think we did a good job with
maybe
this
his
show.
injury. Oh,
I think we did a great job with this interview.
The thing I've done for 40 years is recruiting. So I watch all the tapes. When I give somebody a comparison of who they compare to, even experts will say, "Hey, Calvin, that was a pretty damn good comparison," you know, because I've watched tapes forever. You know, I watched tapes of Kirk Warner and Chuck Longshire. There weren't tapes back. Yeah, there were VHS tapes. Like when I look at Kurt Warner and Paul Burmeister, and Eric Steinbach was a tight end, defensive end from Erie, Illinois. You know, it wasn't like you could sit on you had to get them through the mail. I got them through the mail from the publication I was helping. And I really did. And you put them in your VCR at the time and look at them. And nowadays, anybody that don't look at all the videos of the recruits is just lazy, because you can sit here and look at all of them in an hour. You know, on the YouTube and On3 and 247 Huddle is where most of the tapes that I look at are.
Okay,
Is
great
Vandy
show.
still on?
This is why, I mean, the recruiting part is why I just kind of got out of your way and just let you talk. I didn't interrupt you too much, I don't think.
I just didn't want other, when I'm in the middle of breaking a guy down, I didn't want other voices interrupting where I'd have to lose my train of thought, because my brain don't work that great anymore with the treatments and everything, you know.
There you go. All righty, let's get out of here. The next show for sure will be Sunday, but I might have if something comes up, I might sneak one in before a solo short one. But Sunday for sure.
Before Sunday, give us an agenda, and we'll do the best we can.
We're gonna cover the Iowa women at Rutgers and Maryland at men. At the men team, women's Rutgers and men's Maryland, and hopefully the men will bounce back.
I just had Jenny Lillis's Oklahoma team on, and they were behind and I paid attention here, and now the game ain't on, so I don't know if Jenny won or not. But
yeah. No, let's just hope the men give a better showing against Maryland than they did Michigan State, so we don't go down 0-2 in the Big Ten.
I don't like Tom Izzo. I don't like the way that game went.
I don't either. The thing
I
is I think we would
like owning the referees for the first half of the game. I don't like
nobody should go on the road and play Michigan State for the opening Big Ten when you're new like
that.
that. I think
somebody has to.
Yeah, but I think here's my personal opinion: the Big Ten did not like Fran, and I think they're still punishing Iowa for Fran's sins. And they said, "Ha ha, Michigan State could be a Final Four team this year. Let's send the new boy up to Michigan State just to get hammered."
Yeah, I don't think there was any conspiracy. They didn't want to send the opening game, home game for Michigan State. I understand that they did not want to send one of the big four other teams. They didn't want to start the season with Purdue visiting or Indiana or that Michigan. What a great team Michigan is. I understand that they wanted to pick somebody else. I think it was just happenstance. I don't think it was any conspiracy or anything. But I do think that Ben will make very good use of watching this tape and putting a burr under them guys' butts. That, hey, he said, for one thing, this is all the things we did wrong. Mm-hmm. And for the other thing, you guys ought to be pissed because we got screwed.
Yeah. He said, he also said that he goes, I'm glad we got exposed tonight. Now we got some things to work on.
Yeah, but
all right, let's get out of here, and we will definitely do the Sunday show, cover both the women and the men's game. I have talked to Molly. It's going to be some time before Molly comes back. She hasn't given me permission to tell you what's going on with her, but I do know, and so, but we're just going to let that go from there.
It's private. It's none of our business.
Yeah, all right, but Molly will be back at some point. And I was hoping to get her back.
Did you ever talk to Angie Lee?
I sent Angie Lee a email and have not heard back from her.
She was so awesome that night you had her on. So.
You know what? I should probably see if she will temporarily take Molly's place until Molly's able to come back. I
bet Molly could ask her.
If Molly's up to it. Molly's having some issues.
Okay. Well, pray for Molly then.
Yeah, pray for Molly, guys. Pray for her. She could use some prayers right now. All righty, guys. Let's get out of here. Great show tonight. Good job, Calvin, as always.
Did my best.